Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishna. This is basically 68th number part. In this, basically, we are discussing the JSON. Basically, JSON basically you can say it's the JavaScript basically, and full form basically is also JavaScript object notation. PHP and JavaScript. PHP and JSON. So for another person, sometime basically in old days basically ASP and JavaScript basically was there, right? And at that time basically we were creating the uh, runtime JavaScript from the ASP also. From ASP basically we were creating set of script files basically. So nowadays basically it has given the name as a JSON basically. Nowadays basically, previously basically if one of the person told that yeah runtime can we create the JavaScript basically. So that is what basically from runtime basically you can easily able to create the JavaScript basically. And nowadays basically this name is given as a JSON basically. So let's see basically syntax is basically everything, rest of thing basically you everybody knows. So see basically how JavaScript basically JSON basically works. See basically array conversion with decode, how to decode the array. These all are basically the how to access the object. Same thing basically exactly same way the PHP was there and the JavaScript basically is the same way basically. Looping value basically how to loop the stuff. See basically now basically the PHP exception. One of the person told that what do you mean by exception? So exception itself basically what says that basically it's error basically exception. So assume that basically while running the PHP basically or while running JSON or basically while running JavaScript, you basically get some error basically. So if you get an error, then basically you have to um, capture that error basically. To capture basically to track the error basically, what are the things basically available in our PHP market? First basically exception basically is object basically describes unhandled behavior basically. Unhandled means you can't the PHP is not able to handle that behavior basically or basic behavior or basically you can say the stuff basically which PHP has done basically or PHP in the code basically which you have written that basically is not able to handled by the PHP group basically that is the PHP designer basically. So that time basically it gives the error. So when it gives the error basically that time basically you have to handle that error basically. So that handle basically is called as exceptional handling basically. Throwing an exception and handling the stuff basically. So how basically do you do that basically? So see basically this is function and here basically you are throwing the stuff basically. Throw exception. This is basically the system error basically. Then basically the try catch is also there. In try catch basically you can give your own error name basically and own error numbers also basically. So for that basically try is there and catch is available. Here basically if some code is written and it gives the error that time basically it goes here and then basically you have to write down your own error handling stuff basically. So you can just imagine basically it's lots of people see the error handling is not good in PHP but it's good basically try catch is there finally is there so lots of stuff basically are there. You can track the error number also and you can write down your own error basically. You can write down your own error message basically. You can write down your own error message basically. Sometimes basically the logic is like that if this error will come then basically employee number does not matches or basically employee number was not existing in that particular data in that particular table. So that type of error basically you can write down here in your own words basically, that this particular employee number was data is not existing in that particular department. So like this you can check the error and you can basically throw the error basically. So see basically try catch is there, try catch finally is there basically, try is there, and catch is there, and finally basically it will go here basically. So let's see basically what is. Statement can be used to catch the exception code in the finally block, will always run regardless whether an exception was there, was caught or not. If finally is present in the catch block is an optional variable. So see basically. Finally basically always gets fire basically. So you can do basically one thing, whatever finally basically you want to, whatever things basically is compulsory, you can write down in the finally basically. So write down try is there, catch is there, and finally is there. So process basically completed, or basically you can unset the session variables, you can destroy the session variables. That type of code basically you can write down here basically. You can call the functions basically. Just see basically try catch optional, the message is there. So see basically messages are there. Set of ready-made messages are available. Get message will give the return a string describing the why basically the exception was thrown. Previous basically the code is there. Exceptional number code will get number, that is basically get file basically, that means basically where the exception basically came into the picture, that file name basically will come into the picture. Like this lots of basically stuff basically are available in the PHP market basically. It's a PHP market only basically, and PHP selling is product basically. So see basically try catch, complete exceptional reference basically. So try catch basically is a common thing basically. In all programming language basically try catch is always there. But the way of writing the try catch, that basically is totally different. Sometimes basically try catch in PHP basically it's written like this. In .NET basically it's written something way. In Oracle PLS also basically it's written some way. So like this in Java basically it's written like same way basically as a PHP. So Java, C, C++ and the PHP, C sharp, that all are basically you can say same like of syntax basically. But sometimes basically syntax they basically changes basically. But if you know one programming language basically, then rest of programming language it's easy to understand basically. So now basically what is OOPS? Object oriented programming. Object itself basically says that basically it's the object oriented programming. So everywhere basically it's object. Class is there, you created the class, and class object basically you created, so you can directly able to access the class object, each and every class, variables, functions. Why? Because you have created the object of the class basically. So like this basically it's a object oriented programming basically. So in next video basically we are going to see a little bit more about this topic.